Hey guys, back again. So now let's continue with the post page. So let me get there. So we're going to work inside the service again. No, I already have that, right? So I'm getting, yes, I'm getting well, I'm creating an observer using the response of the fetch and passing the new value to the observer, and that is what we're getting. So we already have that, so we can only focus in the post. So let me just view or wrap in my other VS Code instance. So we can see in this case we're going to use a use effect, also use a state. We have the link and the post service already added. Okay. Now we need to add the props here for the redirection. I think I can remember, but let's see what we have. We are going to add, not here, but up here, some functionality or some constants that I'm going to copy them and paste them and explain you, because I don't want to type all this. So you can see that is busy and set is busy is again here with default state. Route redirect and set redirect is also here to handle redirections. The timer, okay, the timer and set timer, we're going to use that in a second. I will show you the post and the set post, that is the post itself that we're going to use, and we're going to handle that information that we receive from the API in order to display the information inside this component. And we have the edit mode and set edit mode because there's a button that shows the form that we can use to edit. So after that we need to create some references. So let's copy this and let's paste this. So we're going to use ref. We need to import this, use ref, title ref, content ref, and file ref. So we need to handle the reference from the inputs using this. Okay, I showed why in another video, because we cannot use default for some reason. We cannot use default value and value when we receive certain information from the API. So in some cases we can use those, and you will see when I'm able to use those I will use them. But because we can handle the change, or we cannot allow the input to change during certain API responses and during certain processes, we need to create a reference to the input, and this is that for those three. Okay. So that is going to allow us to check for the current value of that input. Now, okay, so let's add the use effect. So this is going to be quite a long video, but you should be already accustomed to that, because most of my videos, since most of my projects are full stack, having a database and a client, an API database and a client, it takes a little more development, but I think it's better for you. You won't learn anything if I just use an array. I have, well, but this is React, so I shouldn't talk about Angular. Sorry about that, my throat is, well. So let's continue. But that's the thing when you create some full stack tutorials that depend on an API and a database, you will need to do some other things. So use effect, we're going to use that, and for this we're going to use set timer. So set timer is going to be to true. constant post subscription again, subscription, although I should add this outside. Oh, let's leave it there, because I'm not going to use another subscription here. I think post service, that post. So remember, we can access the post observable from the fetch request that we are making to the API. So we grab the ID from the URL, props that match, I don't know what the hell is going on with my throat, match that params, that ID. So this is how we get this URL. Now we need to pipe. Remember that, well, this is going to, I already created a few things with RxJS for React. And as I said before, you might see this weird, because you won't see this in the tutorials you watch from other people, because again, those tutorials are made just to show you the basic stuff, not things that you will need in order to start working. Okay, so and that's why you will get caught in the tutorial hell, because they don't show you the real stuff. So let's be honest about that. Now, this is an observable, and I think I explained that before, but this is an observable that is going to give us a constant stream of data. So think this as a pipe, as a physical pipe, and we are going to use that pipe to send information in order to perform some other actions into that. Okay, so for this we're going to use map. Do I have that? Yep, I need that from RxJS operators. So we need to import that. This is not the map that we're going to use with the return inside the component. Okay, this is another kind of map that, well, is similar, but is going to handle the stream of data that we receive from this observable. That, remember that observable or this function is going to receive an ID. So let me show you again. So this is the ID we're going to receive, that we're getting from the URL, and we are making the observable from the fetch request. Okay, is that type in the comments if you have a doubt about RxJS, if you like it or not, but you will get used to this. So it's an actual requirement for most projects to have an understanding of how to perform this kind of actions. So you will need to get used to this, and that's why I created this channel, to show you the real stuff that you will need to face, okay, even if you like it or not. Console.log, so you can check all the Udemy courses you want. If they don't show you the real stuff, then you're screwed, and let's be honest. So we're just going to say console.log response data, because the response from the API is going to have this data object. Okay, remember, check the API. Okay, if you haven't checked that, I don't know what you're doing here. Check the API, check the response, check how we're handling that, and then come back and do this shit. Okay, you first need to understand the process of the API, and then come back to handle the correct way the response inside the client. So this is how the API is going to respond. It's going to respond with a JSON data, JSON object with this data, and let's say we're going to have the post here that comes from Mongo Atlas. So we're going to grab that data object from the response, and we're going to perform some, well, we can perform some actions. For right now, I'm just displaying the functionality of the observables, so you get used to this. I did this also with Angular, even though RxJS is implemented inside Angular. but you have two options: or use it or not. Do it the raw way with this what you get inside Angular without RxJS, or get more functionality, more value using RxJS. So we're going to say return response data, because just to show you that you can. Right now this is doing nothing. It's just going to console log the data, and for each value inside the stream, we're going to do that. Okay, we're going to map the stream and return the response data as it is. You can say let, what is this, is post equals to response data, and then say return post, and it's going to be the same, just to show you that this is only going to perform some actions inside that. It's going to you can filter, you can add whatever you want, but in this case it's only going to return that. Okay, and from there we need to subscribe. So it doesn't show us here, but we can subscribe to this response, and the pipe operator, okay, can be used only with observables. Okay, so you can use this from in order to handle any observable you have, as long as it is a real observable. So response, as I said, this is only to display the functionality of RxJS, because I really don't need to do this. I could subscribe right into this, okay, without using the pipe. But just to show you, just for you to get used to how pipe works, I'm doing that. Set post, because I know React users are not used to use well subscribers and RxJS. So we're going to set the post to the response. Okay, so right now the response data is going to be inside this response, and since that is an object, we just set the response to the state of the post. So that's the only thing that is going on there. And so this is a use effect. Let me just check, because this is quite okay. So why do I have this close like okay, it should be down here. Then let me see where I have this pipe is closing there, where I have that is closing there, and this is a subscription. Okay, so that should work. Now we need to say set timeout. Set timeout. Set timer to false, and take a second after that. Okay, or in 1 second set timer to false, because timer is going to be what displays you will see. I can actually remember what the fuck that is doing. There's a ton of code here, but the timer, I needed the timer for something, and maybe it's because of how a state is being handled inside React, that is going to kind of flash some information. And we'll see once we get this, once I get my memory refreshed. So after this, we need to say return, and remember that we can return a function here that is actually going to clean. So post subscription that unsubscribe. So we need to unsubscribe from the subscription once the component is demounted. Okay. So after that, we can add a comma here. I think this is the correct syntax. I have everything. Well, let's see. match params. We need to pass this in order to React not to complain about changes. So let's see. Okay. You can see on post JS 23, line 23, we are receiving the response data, and that's the object that is being displayed here. Okay, content, cover, cover name, and title. That in this case is the fourth, it seems. Okay. So, and we are setting the response that is being passed here inside this res. So we are setting that to the post so we can use that later. And I think the timer, we're going to see that in the once we add the I'm gonna say this, the HTML. Okay, so okay, that is set, and this is quite a big component. Okay, so after that we need to create the I'm creating all this before I create the HTML, so we can just plug and play kinda the functionality. So we need to say constant edit mode toggle, that this is the button that is going to toggle the form. Set edit mode to the opposite of what we already have in the edit mode. Now we need to get the redirect, so I'm just going to copy this and paste it, that this is the redirect. Okay, and let's say constant update post equals, just to have this in place also, so I don't forget, constant update post. Okay, let's leave that as it is. We're going to skip that, and we're going to also add here constant delete post equals, and also we're going to skip that. Okay, those are for the next videos. So now it's time to create the edit panel, and we are almost at the end of this video. Let edit panel, as you saw in the preview, once we click a button, we have an overlay that covers the current post. So this is it. If edit mode, so we're going to check if we have edit mode enabled, that is true, or disabled, that is false. And also if busy, if is busy is set to true or false. Edit panel is going to be, so if is busy, edit panel is going to be this request is being loaded, and we are going to just show this loading, this just loading a string. Forgot to change that. We will change that later to show the correct loader. And okay, that should be, let me just double check. So if that is not busy, else we show the form just like we did with the create. Edit panel equals, so here we can append the entire form. So I'm going to add a div first, that is class name edit panel, and that is going to contain the form. We're going to also add a button. Let me just add this, copy this and paste it. A button, class name panel bottom that is going to close the panel. Is going to call this edit model toggle again and set it to false. Set the edit mode to false, so we can close that. And let's add the form. And after working a ton with Angular, this is something that kind of still throws me off about React. How to handle all this. That you need to handle all this in the same file. And I could add another component to add it, but it's the same syntax. So I like React, but you know, after working with other technology that has everything in place and a place for everything, services, the template view, and the component is kind of but let's say on submit update post. Okay, we call that, and I'm going to add again the first one I already explained, the use ref, and then add the other one. So label, I'm getting hungry, HTML4 equals title. So we say post title, and also I might forget some, as I did here, some tags, a paragraph up here, edit the current post below, because everything is on the same file, and you're handling everything in the same file. And I have a ton of code. React file actually gets pretty big, so input, okay, why it added like this, input type, and that's why I refuse to add some things like Axios or other things that are not actually going to help you, and it's going to make everything a little more complex, thinking that you actually need to do it with those, when you can actually do it with some other things that you already have in place. So type text, name title, ID. Why it doesn't add that title? For that to work, required also reference is going to be equals to title ref that we already have, and the default value. Now we can use default value, but the reference we need to get the correct information, post title. Okay, so this should work. We have the reference now. It's going to use the title ref, okay, to store the information from this post, from this input, sorry, and we're going to from the post that we have defined. You might be thinking, where is this thing? This thing is defined here, and you can see we're using set post for the setter, and this is the post. Okay, the post that is being received right away is being set into the state, so we can use it. So this is the ref. You only need to say ref and the name of the reference you have or you want to use, that is this one on line 14, and we do the same for the other ones, and that's it. So let me just copy this, paste it, and show you. Ref content ref, we have also the minimum length, we have also the require, and the default value is the content inside that post, and we copy those two, and we have the label for the cover and the input that is going to point to the file ref. Okay, it's going to use the file ref, and that's it. You can add the ID for those. I don't mind actually, in order to the HTML4 to work. So This should be update post. Forgot to change that. And this is the panel. Now below we are going to add a button below the form. Inside this div we're going to add a button that says class name delete, and on click we're going to delete the post, or we're going to call the delete post function. Okay, that's it. So that's the first thing we're going to use there. And now we need to add the current post. So let's say let current post below here. So you can see how a file can get pretty big if you add multiple things. So if we already have waited the second I think I have for the timer, then we're going to set current post to be equals. So this is actually the same we did in the other ones. I'm going to copy this, add a space there and paste it. So this is the div. Okay, the loader container that is going to show the request is being processed, and the loader, and else is going to be the information we have inside the current post equals, we add a React fragment and we add the information for the post that is inside a div. Class name equals to post container. We're going to add the styles later. Image source equals to a post cover. It's like this. Remember that we have the post already in the state. We only need to access that. Div class name context. Class name, not context, sorry, content. A button that is going to show the toggle on click edit mode toggle. You will see how this is placed, how this is going to be used. Okay, it's only going to show the button that is allowing us to show the edit panel. H2 post that title and a div to handle the post that content. Let me scroll down a little bit. And that's it. Now we need to say, okay, if we have the edit panel enabled, we want to show that using edit panel, and that should be it. So inside this, I'm using a React framework there, but it should be only a div. Oh, because I'm using this, and also this is going to be rendered as a div. So what I'm going to do here is only to call current post, and it's going to be either first the loader and then the container. So let's add a semicolon there. And we need to wrap this because we're going to use redirection, the redirect with router. And that should work. Let's see without the styles how it looks. Redirect is not defined. Nice, 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 nice. I don't have that. Let me just copy that. Paste it. I'm not using link here, and that's it. You saw the spinner. Let me refresh this. You saw that. You could say fetching post. Well, let's add that. Why not? Where is that? Request is being processed. fetching the post, please wait, something like that. Oh, sorry, it's not that. It's actually the last one. Fetching the post, please wait. Now, if we go back to one, and you can add previews and this using the local host, okay, that we have, and say less to the local host and +1 to the local host. So let's go here. You can see how it looks. Let's go here. Okay. I'm going to add a little styling for the edit panel and form. So edit panel, copy this. I'm going to add it up here. Edit panel, you can see that. We haven't tested that, but let's add the styles. Edit panel and form. Those two, edit panel form and the form itself. Edit panel, everything inside the form, and also this. Okay, there's something. And let's say edit panel, and you can see that we have this overlay. Now I need to add these 3 things. As I said, this is not a CSS tutorial, so I'm just pasting this for you to see. Now you can see edit panel from input, from text area, the input itself and the text area itself. Okay, those are sharing the same styles. The input text, the text area, okay, how we're setting those, and the form text area in order to use pop-ins and the height 300. And the button, every button is going to have a cursor pointer. So save this. Okay, seems that is, and I should see. Okay, you can see that we have this, and you can see how this looks better now. Close edit panel, and if we go to add item, you can see how this looks. It looks different now because the stylings are being shared. Let's add just a few things here. Control C. Below this, let's add this, that is the panel button, delete, the panel button, and the label, paragraph, and input inside the edit panel. So let's save that and let's see how it looks. Let's go back to MERN. Okay, let's check this one. We still have this, say edit panel. You can see the button changes, and this is kinda okay. I should change this. Why is this thing looking like that? Color. Okay. Oh, because it's setting the okay. So I should remove the input from here. Why I got that? Okay, and we have the correct styles for that. You can change this also. You can look how to change this to have just a button. And this is working. So let's check the form one more time. Okay, so this is actually looking good. and everything is in place working. We need to handle that style, but we will do it later. So this is it, and we'll see you in the next one.